Before we start exploring, I'd like to give a little backstory on where I'm about to go. Imagine it's the last century, more or less, and it's summer vacation, school's out, your parents have gone away on a road trip, they don't have cell phones. What you do have is your very first car, which is a very ancient 1983, yes, I said that right, 83 Mercury Cougar, rusted out, faded, shouldn't even be on the road. And here's why. I have to drive about 45 minutes to visit some cousins up on Lake Huron. I'm driving up to this point. It's about halfway. I'm low on fuel, so I stop and get fuel at the closest small town that has like 6.5 houses and one little gas station. So I stop there, I get my fuel, and I'm on my way again. So I drive about 2 to 3 minutes west of this place. Suddenly, a loud thud happens, and I hear a noise, scraping or something grinding. So I immediately slow down, stop the car, can't see anyone on either horizon, so I stop the car in the middle of the highway. I jump out quickly, look around the car, I see nothing. I get down on my knees and look under the car. The back half of the gas tank is laying on the highway. I kid you not. So the straps that hold the gas tank to the car broke off because they rusted and the gas tank fell. Fortunately, the entire thing didn't fall off, otherwise I'm sure it would have been catastrophic. So I decide to pull the car off to the shoulder so it's off the highway. And then I'm looking around thinking, okay, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I've got no phone access, no cell access. What am I going to do? So I went old school. I looked around to see where's the closest farm that I could walk up their laneway and maybe they can make a phone call to my relatives or someone. So that's what I did. That place is behind me right now. It's now abandoned, and I decided to come back to talk about the story of how this family that was down on their luck saved me, rescued me, told me stories, fed me, and looked after me for only 2 or 3 hours, but it had a lasting impact on my life, and this is a little bit of a tribute to them. So let's go have a look. Let me explain a little bit about the property before I really get started here. So we have the house that I went into right in front of us. And I'll pivot here to the left and we see the laneway, which is quite overgrown, as one would expect. The power lines are down. There hasn't been power here for a long time. There is another house through the trees. I'm not sure if it's visible very well, but there is another house there. And it was abandoned when I came here. This one looked active and I walked up. I saw cars in the driveway, which I'm now stepping over. This used to be a driveway. And let's try to get into the house. The door looks open. My videos usually don't have talking, but this has a personal story, so I thought, why not? So it's quite overgrown. It kind of looks like there's some footsteps. Some of the overgrowth has been pushed down a bit. Beer bottles. Yeah, people have partied here, as happens in the country. Okay, how are we doing for strength here? Let's try a step and see what happens. I think it will hold me. Here's a little trick. Look for the beams and step on them, the cross beams. There are a lot of mosquitoes. Wow. All right. Definitely abandoned for a while. The floor looks like it might be questionable. Oh, that's strong. Always take that first step like it could be your last, and then you'll have another step. Someone told me that once, and it's kept me alive so far. So that chair is 1950s, 1960s, something like that. This one has that 1990s kind of pattern to it. And the color choice is that turquoise. I don't even know what they were thinking. I wish I could say if I remember the furniture being the furniture I saw when I was here, but I'm really not sure. Okay, floor feels okay. Looks solid enough. Feels solid enough. So it survived well enough. gateway to the netherworld down there, the basement. We'll check that out later. Just a quick view of the rooms from here, I suppose. So, ooh, a CRT monitor. How about that? What do we got here? Some very 1990s looking computer gear. I don't remember any of that. I mean, there's not much point in really exploring this room from the inside. It's just insulation laying around, monitors. So these are 14-inch monitors. So we're looking at mid-1990s. A mattress. SpongeBob. All right, now we're cooking. So we're getting some idea of the time frame given what's on the walls and the computers. But it's still an older design. You can see the bathtub in there past the door. Everything is just falling apart. Like, this place is very, very abandoned. You can see through the ceiling up to the roof. To get back into the story, when I knocked on the door and they answered, they were very polite and pleasant and helpful. They offered to let me use their phone. I told them the situation. They said, yeah, use our phone. Call your family, call whoever. Not a problem. And so I did. It took several tries. I remember, I think people were drinking and they were debating on who could actually drive. And it was, well, about noon. So that's summer vacation for you. Anyway, they sent a couple cousins down to help me out. An older one and one about my age. They were the only sober ones who could come out and help. So, in the meantime, I sat in here and the family were preparing for to have lunch, and they offered to let me have some lunch with them. It was very simple. I remember that. It was bread, some pasta, and some sauce, and I think some vegetables, but I don't really remember eating vegetables. But either way, it was very humble, and they offered me what they could, and I was very grateful. I almost didn't want to take it because I knew what was going on. They were very candid about their financial issues and some issues with their kids. I'll talk about that in a second. But they were very friendly and couldn't have been a nicer family. Yeah, the basement is empty except for a log. Sure. No point in really going down here and exploring. This is good enough. So, to really get to the point of the story, the family wasn't doing well. They were telling me about, that they were renting and they were looking for work and all sorts of things. The landlord was offering to let them stay for free for a while. I would assume they were on welfare because they did have some food and some things. Just an assumption. Maybe they were getting some help. I'll look in the fridge, despite my better judgment. What's going to fly out here? Nothing. Good. Anything in here? Empty. Well, mostly. The cupboard. It's a little dark now, but there's some canned beans and things. We'll leave those for the Last of Us team to come by when they need it for the apocalypse. One interesting thing that always stuck with me was the boy's name. There was a boy and girl, and I forget the girl's name, honestly, but the boy's name was Georgina. And they pulled no punches in telling me the boy's name because they were sort of proud of it. It was actually a grandfather's name. And they said, the boy had trouble because his classmates were picking on him. He didn't have the cleanest clothes in the world. I mean, it was truly a down on your luck kind of story. There was a certain amount of pride in telling me the name and getting my reaction. And fortunately, my memory is that I just said something like, "Oh, really?" And didn't, make a negative reaction, just more of a curiosity kind of situation about why they would have done that and what the point was. But that always stuck with me. The story that I'm telling you is more interesting than what we're seeing. Clearly, this is not one of those spectacular abandoned places that have great furniture and Art Deco walls and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's very plain. It is out in the middle of the countryside. So, and clearly abandoned for quite some time. So that's the story of the family and a little bit of a walkthrough of the place. But they were extremely helpful to just some random idiot who had a gas tank fall off of his car. And they were nice. As for the house across the way, let's go check it out. Here's a nice exterior view of the house. I'm actually standing between the two houses now. We'll look at that one in a second. First, here's your view. You can see the antenna there. Those were popular in the 70s and 80s. People in rural areas would erect them so that they could pull in a stronger signal from Detroit, Buffalo, Hamilton, Toronto, different TV stations, so they could get a stronger signal and actually be able to watch 3 or 4 channels out here. Like I said, it's very rural. And on this side is the other house, which was abandoned when I was here all those years ago. Unoccupied is actually the word they used. So this was before urban exploration was actually a term. It looks like there are relatively newer windows that were put in. So perhaps it was lived in for a period after I was here. Let's see if we can make our way inside. This is a bit of a gamble here. Door's open. Well, let's do it. We'll figure something out here. Clear a path. I hear bees. And I'm covered in mosquitoes. Okay, let's go for it. Well, that's crunchy. Okay, we're in. I think we're looking at basically the same situation. That floor is very saggy. I'm not stepping on that. There's not much here. It's been stripped out of furniture and fixtures. Wood's been taken from cupboards. Probably someone grabbed it for projects. That's often what happens. I see some of the drawers, cupboards have been pulled out. Yeah, there's some trays in the other room, but there's really just not much to see here, so I'm not going to attempt to go over that floor. If there was something truly interesting looking, or I thought there might be something on the other side, I would do it. But instinct and experience tell me it's not worth it. Especially I'm alone, so that's always something to keep in mind as well. Just a random basement. I don't have a light with me, so I'm not going down. Oh, there we go. 1980s Health Wear Plus. Everyone had one of these in the 1980s and 90s. Yeah, oh, that's unusual. Don't see lights like that in farmhouses too often. I think I'm going to wrap it up there for this place because, again, that floor, I'll test it. Like, I'm not afraid, I'm just being smart. I mean, I hiked 80 kilometers across the Kazakhstan desert avoiding the Russian military, so I don't want to die in a place like this. I see the leftovers of a television. So, of course, now I'm stepping into the place. Yeah, big old TV. It's just, there's nothing here. It's not worth it. Not worth it wasting your time trying to make a video out of nothing. And I won't fake any stories like some people do. I won't name names, but that's sort of how it goes. Okay, lots of nails in this thing. So that's the property. You know the main story. This was a bit of an add-on. I appreciate anyone who stuck with it. Maybe prefers my immersive no-talking videos, but this has a personal story, so I thought I would talk a bit and tell a bit of a story. Let's take a quick look at the front of the house, or side, or this side of the house at least. See what we have here. Maybe I can get up those steps. Poke my head in. I don't think it's worth it. There's nothing to see. It's an empty room. Sometimes these places are far more interesting from the outside because you can see the era they were built rather than the renovations that have happened or lack thereof. Once again, the story I was told about this building is it was unoccupied. The owner was looking for tenants. It looks like some new windows have been put in. Other renovations hadn't happened, so nobody was living here when I showed up, and no one's lived here for a long time since. Big, beautiful tree out here. So there you have it. 2 abandoned houses out in the middle of nowhere, by many people's standards. And I normally wouldn't talk this much or at all, or even put my face on camera, but because I have a personal connection to this particular property, I thought it might be nice to do something a little different because it does have that personal angle to it. There are some abandoned buildings further back. They're maybe a little hard to see on the video. Just sheds and farm buildings. I'm not going to bother with those. The core of this was about the abandoned house here that I was in and have the history with it. And then, of course, the other one through the trees on this side. So I think that wraps it up. Let's head back. Thanks for joining me.